Hey guys, we're here at Lake Cherokee. I just got done with the Lake Seminole event, so we're going to do a recap of there. First we're going to talk a little bit about practice. I had gone down and started scouting Lake Seminole in December when I was heading back from Texas going to Florida, so I kind of knew some areas I wanted to check out. I idled them a bunch. I used my Lowrance sonar chart live, which does an overlay feature and builds the map as you drive around and kind of keeps collecting your data, which was very important this week because what I ended up doing was fishing a lot of sandbars and they aren't marked on the chips. They're too shallow. It's kind of a more treacherous area, so they stayed out of those stump fields when they were doing the actual mapping of the lake to start off. But I kind of had a general idea where I wanted to fish that way. Had some pre-spawn fish in there. There were some spawning fish and post-spawn. From there, in practice, I started on the one area and I was throwing a chatterbait. It was a little bit windier in practice, so it had a good overcast day. It was good for that chatterbait. I was ripping it out of some hydrilla, kind of working around the edges of those sandbars, and I found some good fish. The first day of practice, I probably jumped off a 4.5 right away. Then I caught like a 3, probably 2.5, and a 2. And I shook like 2 or 3 other ones off real quick in this one little area, so I felt pretty good about it. I kind of ran around a little bit and came back to that area the third day of practice and kind of went through it real quick one more time just to check it. And I shook one off, and then I hooked one kind of accidentally. It wasn't entirely meant to, but it was almost 6, so I kind of knew where I was going to start the tournament. And in that area I also expanded a little bit, working my way around, and was fishing more of the bars where those fish were either pushing up in the afternoon to feed or they were spawning on the edges of them. So I kind of had a general idea there. First day of the tournament rolled along and I pulled into the area where I'd be getting all those bites, and it wasn't happening. We kind of got hit with these dead slick conditions there. The chatterbait bite was gone, and I slowed down a little bit, was dragging a worm a little bit trying to get bites, and it wasn't really happening. So I started making my way out to those areas that had the sandbars where they were spawning on, and I was throwing my chatterbait still a little bit. I caught one probably 10 o'clock or so that morning, and then I kind of went on a real long lull. I ran around a little bit, fished a couple areas. I caught some fish on pads. Never got bit in there. Came back out around 1:30. I caught my second fish of the day. I was just casting a Senko around, just a weightless one. That kind of keyed me on a little deal there where they were pushing up on those bars in the afternoon. So I kept working around and kept bouncing from one to the others that I had marked and mapped earlier in the week at practice or in pre-practice. And I rolled up on one and I was able to catch a quick one off of it, and then on the edge of it where it dropped off at about 6 foot, I caught another one that was probably pushing 3 pounds, and I kind of kept working around in there, and I was starting to run out of time, so I went back over to that one bar again and I hooked another one and actually got him hung up on a stump, and he pulled off. I could see him after he had pulled off. I just had him hooked for a few seconds, but he kind of swam away and he was on his own then. I didn't get the chance to get another fish that day around the time I was doing at, I believe, 3:20. I was in the second flight. So I went in with 4 fish, weighed my 9 pounds, 10 ounces, and was kind of discouraged until we got through the weigh-ins, and I think I was sitting in 70th place. So from there, I then went and started in that same general area again the next day. I caught 2 quick ones in the morning, bounced around a little bit, and just kind of slowly kept picking away at them until I got up to my final weight, which was 11.11, and got me a 62nd place, which was the last $9,000 check and second to last check that was paid out in the tournament. So all in all, it was a good tournament. The conditions were tough with the changing wind to no wind, and got real cold there for 2 or 3 days. So I'm happy to get out there with some good points, get some money, and I'll show you a little bit what I was using. So I was taking the chatterbait in practice, and I was rolling it around. It's on a Ardent Grand. It's a 7:3 to 1, so it's a faster gear ratio. What I was doing, I was throwing that out there, getting it stuck in the hydrilla, ripping it out, and just kind of getting a reaction strike out of this fish. That's actually how I caught my new personal best. It was a 820. I caught him on a chatterbait right outside of a spawning pocket, kind of the mouth of it where it narrowed down, and was ripping that out of there. And she was all spawned out, and she must have come back out of there already. And there was, I'm sure, a wave or two that spawned before we got there. And there's going to be a big wave that pushes up probably this next week, if not through the weekend. But I was just throwing a chatterbait like this, silver, white, and with a little shad trailer there. It's a Lake Fork Magic Shad, that one. I was throwing it on Seagar, 20-pound line. I was fishing pretty shallow, so I wasn't worried about having too light of line. It kept the bait up a little bit higher in the water column there when I was fishing 5 feet or less the whole time. It's kind of how I like to do it. I was throwing it on a medium action rod. It's got a fast tip. It's a part glass, part composite, so it kind of loads up nice and keeps those fish buttoned. Then in the tournament, I switched over to a medium heavy rod with a Ardent C-Force reel and Ardent Gliss line to a 10-pound Seagar Invis-X leader. I put about probably 12 feet on there just to keep that bait way far away so the fish couldn't see that line. But the high visibility line, that bright yellow, allowed me, when it was dead flat out there, I'd throw it as far as I could, let it hit, and you would see it sinking, and all of a sudden you'd see your line hop. And that's when you knew to reel down and set the hook because you had a bite. I was throwing that on a Hayabusa hook here. It's a worm hook. It's an EWG. It's a worm 959. I was using a 4-aught. That's the size I like to use on my 5-inch Senkos. It's got that MBR coating on these, so it's a little bit slipperier. So when you get that hook set, it's got extra penetration there and hooks them up quickly so they can't get off. And I was just Texas rigging it and throwing it out, dragging it as slow as I could. I think a lot of those bites you'd get when they were either on a bed, even though you couldn't see them, or they were just pushing up there feeding in the afternoon. So a big key, there was a bunch of boats in this area, was I'd kind of pay attention to which bars didn't have people on them for a while. If you could get like an hour that one wasn't being hit, you could go over to that one, and there's more times than not you would get that one bite off of it. So you kind of just had to pay attention to what everybody else was doing around you, try not to get too bottled up with them. And that was some of my keys for the week. Check out the highlight film here. I think I got all the fish catches on, so it'll be a good time. And I'll show you a 5-pounder I caught in practice on video. All right, thanks. I got him. I flipped him in. He's probably 5. Number 2. That took a while. Number 3. Number 3, we got about an hour or so of fishing. We gotta get them. Number 4. We got 40 minutes to go. Hey guys, just real quick, day 1's over. We're sitting in 76th place. We had 4 fish today for 9 pounds 10 ounces. Gonna need to look the build on it a little bit. About a pound out of a check right now, so stay tuned. We'll get back after it tomorrow. Dude, I need to check in the worst way.